Yo, what's up? My name's Sayeef. I run an editing business where my name is Malice, and let me actually give you some context for this video. This is my portfolio, and a section on there is people I've worked with. Worked with guys with sort of that 5, 10, 20, 30 million subscriber range. There are people that I have worked with outside of this that have more, but for legal reasons, I'm not allowed to say their names. But essentially, I've worked with a lot of people, and I was going through my Google Drive where I had this folder, and it's called client work, and this is essentially all the clients I had from around 2021 to 2023. So you can see I've worked with a decent amount of people, and this isn't even all of them. The reason I'm making this video is a lot of them were assholes, and there were many sleepless nights, there were many stressful moments, there were many shitty conversations I had to have with them, which made me depressed as hell, and I would not want for any video editor out there, including you. So in this video, we are going to be going over 3 of the ways that I have stopped getting shitty clients, and I know these work because I've done them, and I now enjoy my life editing for people that I like, and I don't have to deal with those long rounds of revisions, staying up late at night, him complaining about how I didn't get it done on time even though we agreed on something and he's got some crazy expectations. Like, I don't deal with that anymore. And the first one is going to be being a specialist. So there's 2 types of basically people who have skills, so like skilled workers. You have generalists and you have specialists. Generalists are people who basically can dabble in everything. These are the people who do video editing, and they also kind of will write out thumbnail design, and if you ask them to do script writing, they can do that, and if they were to try and make a website, they can do that as well, and it's all just kind of on the side because they're seeing if it works. That's what a generalist is. A specialist is someone who comes in and says, I do video editing, or I do graphic design, or I do website design. The emphasis here isn't on the video editing, the graphic design, or any of those. The emphasis is on the or. It's not and, it's or. Because the thing is, every single one of these make money. Like, it's in my best interest for me to say like, oh, the video editing is the only one that works, but I'll be completely honest with you, bro. All of these avenues make a shit ton of money. I have friends in all of them. I'm telling you that if you're already in video editing, it serves you best to go all in on video editing, but no matter what, you're going to have to go all in on one of them. I see so many editors, and I'll be honest, this was me included when I first started, where I would say I'm a video editor, but if someone asks me to do thumbnail design, I'll also do thumbnail design. And maybe in my bio, I write video editor and motion designer and graphic designer. Like, I would do all these things. And the thing is, it seems like a good thing because it's like I'm offering more, I'm giving more value to my clients. And yes, you are giving more value to your clients, but that's because your clients are shit. Like, a shitty client is the type of person who looks for a generalist. Just think about it. Who's the type of person who would look for an all-in-one tool compared to buying like the best of each tool, if that makes sense? So a low-paying client, someone who's maybe just starting out, or like, this is not me saying that these low-paying clients are bad people, but someone who's just starting out and isn't able to pay you what you want them to pay you, they're going to be looking for like an all-in-one tool. They're going to be looking for a guy that can do video editing and their thumbnails and upload the videos and like talk to them about video ideas and do the scripting. Like, they're going to want someone like that, and they're also going to be wanting to pay them very little compared to how much work they're doing. Compare this to like this huge YouTuber, or not even huge, just someone who's willing to take that seriously. Like, I've had this happen where there's smaller creators who like, they're not huge, but they're still willing to invest, and you can treat them the same as you would with a really large channel. These are the people who, they're not looking for an all-in-one tool. They're looking for the best video editor, and then working alongside them, the best designer. Then working alongside them, the best script writer. And the thing is, they're willing to pay a lot more for these people because they know that like, this person has basically spent not his life, but like, he's put all of his thoughts into his craft. So if I want the best, I know I go to him. If you wanted to have like a surgery done, imagine you were having a kidney surgery. If you had 2 options, you had one who was the general doctor, or like a general surgeon, who you needed to have a kidney operation, but you could go to him. He's done like 5 in the past. You know what? Like he normally does like nose stuff and sometimes eyes and sometimes ears and then like this one arm surgery and a couple of kidney stuff. Like yeah, you could go to him, or you could go to the kidney surgeon. Imagine there was another surgeon who was literally like he dedicated his entire career in the medical field to operating on kidneys. He's done 250 on them. Who would you feel more safer to go with, and who would you be more willing to spend more money with? Of course, it's the specialist, right? So as a video editor, you want to be a specialist, and this manifests in so many ways. So it's like literally with the actions you do in order to improve your skills, like you shouldn't be practicing graphic design. You shouldn't be practicing making websites. And it's like, sure, you can have like the base level of skill. So it's like, I know how to like kind of roughly use Photoshop. I know how to kind of roughly make a website so I could make a portfolio. Like I know the very dead basics, but it's only as much as I know, as I need to know. Every single other like waking hour that I have is going into Premiere Pro. And that's why within 3 years, I went from someone who never even touched the software to like people on Twitter saying like I'm one of the best Premiere Pro editors. And this isn't even me trying to make it an ego thing, but like you can see my work, and I'm working with the largest channels. They appreciate my work. I do it all on Premiere Pro. It's because I put all of my thoughts into that software. The way you get good at editing is not by finding a certain preset or it's a certain effect. It's by spending so long on one thing that you become so good at it that it's like it's unreasonable that you're going to be bad at it after that long. That's how you get good at software. And you're not going to be able to do that if you're doing 100 different things. Being a specialist attracts, well, first of all, it helps you with the skill, but it also just attracts people that are looking for those like best of each tool, and they're willing to pay for it. And if you're advertising yourself through your bio, through your portfolio, even just through how you speak to a client, if they ask you, oh, do you do thumbnail design as well? You might be scared to say no because it's like, I don't want to piss him off. What if I lose him? I promise you, with a high paying client, they gain more respect for you when you tell them that, yo, like, I know you want me to do thumbnails as well, but I only do video editing. Like, I'd rather just stick with that because that's what I do best. I've said that to multiple people, and I've had one of two responses. One is probably the one you expect, where it's like, the guy doesn't work with me anymore. And the second is where the guy says, like, bro, respect, like, let's work together in that case. The type of, what the hell, like, okay, Max got, like, this weird reactions thing. That was weird, bro. Like, what was that? Anyways, the type of people who would say, oh, I don't want to work with you because you're not going to do multiple things, is going to be the broke client that doesn't want to pay you much anyway. So it's like, you're not really losing much. You're just detracting people that weren't going to pay you anyways, and you will attract people who are going to actually be willing to invest into their channel and by proxy invest into you. So the second point is setting expectations early. So the first point that we talked about was more a preventative measure of like even contacting the client at all. But let's say that you didn't do because you got greedy and you think that making 5 fucking businesses pretty much, which is what you're doing when you do editing, motion design and graphic design and SEO and website making. Let's say you thought you were smarter than that and okay, cool, you did it. Let's say you get into the conversation with a client, and by the way, I was taking the piss. Like, I'm assuming that you aren't going to do that because you're not an idiot. Like, you are going to go full in onto one skill. I know you're not an idiot. But the next thing you want to do is when you do get into a conversation with a potential client, so this is before you even start working together, as soon as you contact each other, there's 3 things that you want to establish. And what we're calling these are the 3 expectations that we want to set. Those are the style, the deadline, and the price. I want you to reframe rejection as not this scary thing where you are not worthy of a client, but simply as an incompatibility. A lot of us have this fear of rejection where we're scared to say what we want, or we're scared to even outreach, or we're scared to even get into conversations, or we're scared to ask for what we want because we're scared of a no. But it becomes a lot easier when you realize that the people that you're saying no to, or the people that are saying no to you, it's not the fact that you're shit. But a lot of the time, it's the fact that you're just not compatible. When you say a price and it's too high, you might be sad that you got rejected. But the thing is, would you want to work with that person. Let's say you want to charge $300, $400, $500 per video, whatever you want to charge. And the guy says, I can only afford $50. Do you want to work with him? Like, when you really think about it, you're not getting rejected. You've just realized that you're not compatible. Like, it's a weird, like, sort of mindset change, but this really helped me more with social skills when I grew up kind of like, not socially awkward, but I was a very quiet kid. And something that I was scared of was going up to a random person just talking. I never understood how people could do it. Like, I had a couple of friends where when I went into college, so college in the UK is around 16 years old, and I had friends in that year where basically they were just able to meet new people. So going from high school to college, I knew almost no one except people that went to my high school, and I wasn't able to speak to anyone new that I hadn't known before. I had some friends that were able to, and I just never understood it. The mindset that helped me get better at just speaking to random people, which I'm at the point now, is when someone doesn't like you, or when you feel as though you didn't click with someone, or you feel as though like someone found you weird, it's not the fact that you're a bad person, it's just the fact that you're not compatible with this person. And this isn't anything against the person you're trying to connect with, but you just weren't compatible. Let's say you make a joke and you thought it was funny and the person found it cringe. It's not the fact that you're a bad person for making the joke, it's just that you're not compatible with this person. Because I promise you, out of 8 billion people in the world, there are people who, if you said that exact same joke to, they would have found it funny. Those are the people you're compatible with, and there's some people that you're not, and that's okay. You can see getting rejected by clients in the same way. It's not the fact that you're getting rejected a lot of the time, it's just that you're not compatible, and usually it is in one of these 3 areas. You're either not compatible on your style, so you don't want to do the style that he wants, or like he doesn't want your style or the way you edit. So that could be one area where you're not compatible. The next area could be deadlines. So it's like he wants you to get it done within 1 day, but even if you tried so hard, you wouldn't be able to get it done like anything earlier than like 3 days. If he isn't willing to go longer than 1 day, you two are incompatible. And here's the thing, you might see that as a rejection, but would you want to work with someone when you know that it will take 3 days, but he's going to try to force you to do 1? Do you want to go into that situation? Probably not. And if you haven't considered this is why you get into like situations where you're dealing with a shit client, because you don't consider these things. And the third expectation that you want to set quite early, and I'll explain the early part later, is you want to set the price. The idea of money, you need to get comfortable with it. I think a lot of the time right now in society it's kind of awkward or societally incorrect to speak about money out loud. Of course, I have this channel where my goal is just help editors, and a part of me helping editors is me being open about how much I make. And honestly, in this space, like, I've become very comfortable with saying how much I make. But to most people, it's weird. And when you grow up with this sort of like money being a taboo topic vibe in your life, where your parents tell you, like, whenever you speak about money to your parents, it's always like this sort of hushed down thing, or you don't feel comfortable talking about it with friends, or you don't feel comfortable talking about like maybe your goals or anything, and like there's this very like underground feeling about money. So suddenly when you're trying to make money online, or you're trying to talk to a client about your prices, it's awkward bringing that up. You feel awkward to tell your client, like, I want to charge this amount. And maybe you even leave it off till so late, to like the point where you've had the conversation, and now right at the end, like, you tell him the price, and he's like, oh bro, like I can't even afford that. I can only afford like $50. So the reason I've mentioned these 3 expectations is because you want to bring them up as early as possible. So remember, these 3 things, if you're not compatible on them, you're gonna fucking hate your experience with working with them. You don't want to learn that you can't do the style, or you don't like the deadlines, or you don't like his like payment after you started working with him. Most people delay these asks, like asking questions about what style they like when they're expecting the video, and what, like, well, you giving a price and saying if that's okay. You want to get that done as early as possible. Entrepreneurship is a volume game where essentially you're going to be speaking with a crap ton of people. In fact, let me just show you. If I go onto here and I open up my Twitter right now, I'm going to show you my DMs. This is me scrolling as fast as possible. We've just entered 2023. We're still going. I just need to bear in mind, 2023 was where I basically had enough word of mouth going that I didn't need to talk to as many clients. So like, right now we're probably around maybe 1/5 of my DMs. I'm not going to go through everything for the sake of not boring you, but I need you to understand I've been in a lot of client conversations, and that's both outreach and inbound. You kind of need to be in a crap ton of conversations to close the clients that you want. And that's okay. You don't want to work with shit clients. You want to work with the top 1% of creators. It's going to mean you're not going to work with 99% of people. And that's okay. But it's like, don't expect to talk to like 5 people and you get so like scared of rejection, or you get so butthurt over rejection that you stop doing it. Like, business is basically a game of who can get the most rejections and come out the other side like without stopping. And the quicker you can establish these 3 expectations, the less time you waste with people that you're not going to be compatible with anyways, and you're not going to be working with those shitty clients. The third thing that I wanted to share with not working with these shit clients and not basically going through the hell that I had to go through is learning conflict management. So the first point we talked about was more, let's attract the right people. The second point that we gave, so the setting expectations, that basically makes sure that you get into a relationship with the client that will actually be able to like get value from what you can offer. But the third point, where you're learning conflict management, this is where you're already working with someone and a problem still comes up. Even though you've tried attracting a good client and you thought that they were going to be a good client, a problem still comes up. And here's the thing, that's not a bad thing. You miss a deadline, or the footage wasn't sent through properly, or there's this effect that wasn't supposed to be in the video, or there was an effect that was supposed to be in the video and you forgot it, or like there's something wrong that came up, or there's so many revisions, or like this person's being rude. But like, there's so many problems that can come up. And this isn't just with small clients. This happens at like the biggest levels as well. Even when I'm working with people with millions of subscribers, problems still come up. The only difference between when I was sleepless at night with hundreds of revisions, not like, when I say hundreds, I'm not exaggerating, by the way. I mean hundreds of revisions on a single video, like a 10-minute video with like fucking 200 revisions. I've had that. The only difference between me doing that for small clients and the problems that come up now with big clients is how I deal with them. I've become better at communicating more clearly, and I've become better at conflict management. It's not the fact that you're trying to get rid of problems in a client relationship. If your client isn't bringing up problems, honestly, I would be even more concerned, especially if you know that there is this sort of underlying vibe that something's wrong. You know when you kind of know your client's pissed at you, or you know that he doesn't feel like, when you know that he feels bad about how you're treating him, he doesn't really like the video, but he's just saying okay because he wants to be nice, or he does want the video early but he's just kind of beating around the bush because he doesn't want to offend you. Like, you know when you know that you're not giving a client exactly what he wants and he's kind of unhappy, the fact that he hasn't brought the problem up isn't a good thing. All that means is there's resentment building up in his head that he hasn't brought up to you, and then when you randomly get ghosted, you're not gonna know why. But the reason is because he built up so much resentment for you that he just snapped one day. It's better if someone brings up a problem as they come, because that allows you to actually solve it. So how do you actually get better at this conflict management? So conflict, it's not a bad word. It's like, conflict just means a problem comes up as usual and we have to deal with it. There's 2 parts of getting better at conflict management. The first one is building like a safe environment, and that sounds kind of wishy-washy, it sounds kind of gay, but like, it's basically making the client feel okay with bringing problems up to you. And like, the way you do that is essentially, you can ask him, you can bring it up yourself, and you can bring up like problems that you need to communicate clearly as well. So let's go through that. So this is within you creating a safe environment. The first one is you asking him, literally just straight up being like, hey bro, like, we've been working together for like X videos or like this recent video. Just wanted to like catch up. Like, is everything all right? Like, were you happy with that video, or was there anything you wanted changed for next video? This isn't me like you saying that, oh, like roast my work or something. It's just them saying like, oh, like, is there something I can fix? And a lot of the time they're gonna say no. But an odd time, it's like they're gonna be like, oh yeah, bro, everything was good. I just hope that you just change this for next time. It's like, it's such a small thing. Like, they're not gonna say it in like some crazy rude way, but now that you've gotten that problem out of them, like they had a problem with maybe the sound design that you were using. Now that they've told you, you can actually fix it. Instead of them having like the subconscious, like sort of tiny resentment building up, and then one day they just suddenly stop wanting to work with you. Instead, like they feel heard. The second way is you actually bringing it up. So a lot of editors, when they mess up a video, they wait for the client to actually complain. What I'm telling you is sometimes it's actually better for you to bring up the problem when there's a problem. This is actually a principle I heard from How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is, I forgot the exact wording, but it's essentially the idea that you cannot be blamed for something and someone cannot shout at you if you are the one that admits fault. Like, when you make a mistake, admit to it quickly. I want you to imagine that your parents are out and they told you over the phone to make sure that you cooked the rice. Like, there was rice that you had to cook, and you forgot to cook it, okay? And now they're coming home, you see them like pull into a driveway, and you're thinking like, well, fuck, like I'm cooked, like they're gonna like beat the shit out of me. If your parents come in and then they realize that you did not cook the rice, but you tried hiding it, they're gonna be pissed at you, and rightly so. But the thing is, if they came into the house and instantly you told them like, oh, mom, dad, like I didn't cook the rice and it was because of this thing, like I'll do it now, is that all right? I'm so sorry, like I can't believe I forgot this, I'm so sorry, like, and you're basically like asking for forgiveness and you're being like honest, like I fucked up, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. They're not gonna turn around and like beat the shit out of you. They're not gonna like see like their child basically like asking for mercy and then them shout at them. You cannot shout at someone who admits fault. Like, imagine someone like your friend came to you and told you that he messed up, or like he accidentally did something behind your back. You can't get pissed at him if he actually came to you and told you. If you found out that he did something behind your back and you found out through someone else, then yeah, you're gonna get pissed at that person. But if they came to you, like, it's difficult to be pissed at someone like that. This is exactly how it is with clients as well. If you messed up something, or like you missed the deadline, or you know you're gonna miss the deadline, in which scenario do you think the client's gonna be more pissed? The scenario where you come up to the client and say, hey bro, like I know I said I'd get it done by tomorrow, but like the video is coming along really well. It's just the fact that like, bro, I don't want to rush this shit. Like, there's still 5 minutes of the video left, but I don't want to rush it. Is it cool if we take another like 4 days? Would he be more pissed there? Or if the deadline comes around, he's waiting for his video and you put your Discord on like offline, and then you pretend that you didn't see the message. And then the day later, you're like, oh, I didn't get it done. I'm sorry, I forgot. In which scenario do you think you're going to like get the client that's more pissed at you? So it's like a lot of people, I'll be honest, a lot of editors, they have clients that are pissed at them. I don't blame them. Your conflict management is shit. Like, if you just communicated it more clearly and created that sort of safe environment where you and your client, and you're actually saying what's wrong, you will, surprise, surprise, like actually fix that problem. And the third thing that I talked about was, so within creating a safe environment, the third part of it is you bringing up problems as well. A lot of the time, especially when you're starting out as an editor, you have like this sort of, well, I'll speak for myself. I had like this sort of inferiority complex, which is like, I put clients on this pedestal where they could do no wrong and I'm basically just trying to impress them at any cost. If they had something wrong, no, if anything went wrong, I felt as though it was my fault, and I instantly had like this fear of me getting rejected or me losing my job or me losing my income. After a while, you realize that clients are humans too, and they can make problems, and they can also make mistakes, and that's okay. Like, your client could forget to give you footage, or your client could accidentally like forget to pay you on time, or like they forgot to respond to your message, or like there's all these things that can happen. You probably would have done the same thing here and there if you were someone hiring an editor. If you don't bring up the problem, how the fuck do you expect him to fix it? I've seen so many editors that get ghosted after speaking to a client, and they don't message back, and they're wondering why they're still ghosted. Being comfortable with bringing up problems, like basically just saying like, hey bro, like I really appreciate working with you. There's this one thing that I wish you would do different. Is it cool that like I just want to make sure that like our workflow together is optimized? Is it cool if we can like get footage sent a little bit earlier? Like it's these small things where you're showing that you actually care about the client, but you are willing to like bring up a problem if there is a problem. And this is not me saying like be rude about it. It's not me saying like where the fuck is my footage, bitch? Like where the fuck is my payment? Like that's not what I'm asking you to do. But I'm saying like it's okay for you to mention things when you think there's a problem in the relationship. I said relationship as if like you guys are dating or something, but honestly like this concept I used to really struggle with, the idea of clear communication with clients, and I realized the large reason of it was I operated the same way in like relationships. I learned a lot of this in this book called Attached, which was it's by Amir Levine. It's this book around like attachment styles, so the way you love. And every single one of us, me, you, your friend, your dad, like we all have an attachment style that we have. It's the way that we love, and it's an obvious thing when you read it how it impacts your love life, but you'd be very interested by how it also affects your business life. The way you operate in a relationship, or you would operate in a relationship. So this applies even if you're not with anyone, you're not speaking to anyone. We all have an attachment style. Like even if you've never talked to a woman, like we all have attachment styles. That carries over to your business. The way you would treat a woman is the same way you would treat a client. And this sounds really weird, and you're not going to get this until you sort of have a lot more moments of introspection. And I might sound insane, but I promise you, if you look into your attachment style and the way you communicate to your friends, to your own like family, your mom and dad, when there's conflict with you, genuinely ask yourself this: when there's conflict with your parents, how do you act? Do you tend to lock yourself away and stop speaking to them? Or how do your parents act towards you? Do they tend to ignore you? Or do they tend to shout at you? Or do they tend to not bring up the problem and like sort of still be pissy at you, but you can feel like they'll say it's fine, but you can tell they're still pissed at you? Like, how do they act towards you when you have conflict? It's very likely you operate your client relationships in a very similar way to how your parents treat you or have treated you. This is some shit that like no one speaks about, but I've done a lot of introspection on this, and there's some really weird correlations that you'll find. When you start delving into that, you start fixing a lot of your client relationships as well, which I think is awesome. A book I recommend for this conflict management side of things is How to Influence People. I've recommended this book a ton of times in the past, especially with older videos, but essentially I was a super quiet kid. I was like, I don't know if you had this as well, but you'd be at like a family function where like all the cousins or like all the aunties, uncles are gathering together. And I would just be like the quiet kid. And I would just be like on my mom's phone playing Clash of Clans or like whatever video game I've got. And I struggled socially. Sure, I had friends in school, but I was never like the loud kid. I was quite quiet. In college, that completely changed. And the thing is, I would love to say it's because like I'm just that cool fucking guy, but I learned this. Like I had to learn how to socialize. I had to learn how to smile. Like I remember I like learned how to fucking put my shoulders back. Like dead ass, I used to learn like what's the correct body language to make people socialize with you. It would be like this weird shit of like you put forward, back, down, and then like your hand positions is like, instead of having your hands like, I'm a little autistic, but like instead of having your hands like this, which makes your shoulders roll forward, you do up, that, and then you hold your hands like this. So that if you were holding a pen, what would happen is like, imagine I'm holding a pen right now like this, right? if you were holding a pen, it would be facing like straight. And like if you walk like this, your posture's a lot better and your shoulders don't roll forward, if that makes sense. It's like that compared to that. Like this is the weird stuff that I had to learn in order to improve my social skills. And that sounds autistic, but like it was that and like 200 other different techniques that I learned. And every single day going into college, reading a chapter from that book, going into college and implementing it on someone, and then learning how it works, and then basically doing that for a year straight. And then I became really good at social skills, and now I'm at the point where I can basically walk up to anyone on the street and like literally just make friends wherever I go. And that sounds egotistical. I don't really know how to prove it to you. It's fucking 6:30 a.m. right now, so I can't really go onto the street right now and show you that I have social skills, but maybe you can believe me. How to Influence and Influence People, amazing book, changed my life socially and changed the way that I deal with client communication. So yeah, if you want to read a book, that's my recommendation. Hope you found this useful, bro. Love you. Mwah.